Today we are going to discuss the Battle of Buxar. Already we have studied Carnatic Wars, the Battle of Plassey. After the end of Battle of Plassey, Mir Qasim was appointed as the Nawab. After the end of Battle of Plassey, Mir Qasim was an efficient administrator. He remained loyal to the British company for a few days. Then afterwards, Mir Qasim paid 2 lakh pounds rupees to the British. Shortly, he declared himself as an independent ruler. He doesn't want to remain as a puppet in the hands of the British. So that is why he wanted to remain as an independent ruler. So he declared himself as an independent ruler. Because of this reason, after the misuse of dastaks, Mir Qasim declared the business is free in place of Bengal. So no need of paying taxes to the goods and services. So that is why once again Indians have started to compete with the British. The now British trade suffered a lot even after when Mir Qasim declared himself as an independent ruler. Then on all the Indian traders, all the Indian merchants, they started to compete with the Britishers. So British trade was suffered. Britishers opposed Nawabs. They brought in place of Mir Qasim, once again they brought back Mir Jafar. Then Mir Qasim got angry. He joined his hands with Shah Alam II and Shujwud Daw. Mir Qasim, Shah Alam II and Shujwud Daw, they formed a triple alliance and together they decided to war against British. This is known as the Battle of Buxar. This battle held in place of Buxar. So this is known as the Battle of Buxar. This war began between Mir Qasim, Shah Alam II and Shujwud Daw. They formed a triple alliance against Britishers. British army was led by Hector Munro. Hector Munro was an efficient officer. Mir Qasim, in this Battle of Buxar in 1764, Mir Qasim was defeated by Hector Munro. He ran away from that place. Then on Shah Alam II was surrendered to British. When Mir Qasim ran away from the battlefield, Shah Alam II surrendered to Hector Munro. What are the outcomes of this Battle of Buxar? Now we are going to discuss about outcomes of this Battle of Buxar. Shah Alam II accorded the Diwani rights over Bengal to the British. Shah Alam II gave away all the rights over Bengal to the British for an annual fees of Rs 26 lakh rupees. Shah Alam II handed over those all places. With the death of Mir Jafar, the company paid pension to his son and took over the entire administration of Bengal. After the end of Battle of Buxar, the province Bengal came under the control of Britishers. The entire Bengal came under the control of Britishers. The Nawab of Oudh had to give away a fine of rupees 50 lakh rupees for waging a war against the British. That was a kind of war indemnity. The Nawab of Awadh had to pay 50 lakh rupees to the Britishers, as it is war indemnity. Thus the Battle of Buxar played important role in the history of India. Then on, after the end of the Battle of Buxar, the Britishers got power over on Bihar, Bengal and Orissa provinces. In these all, the Britishers had a firm hold on it after the Battle of Buxar. Awadh remained under their control. The Awadh place came under the control of Britishers. Thus, the Battle of Buxar brought hold on the entire part of some other Bihar, Bengal, Orissa. The Britishers remained powerful in these provinces. So this battle helped the Britishers to remain as dominant in the provinces like Bengal, Bihar, Orissa. After this, Robert Clive, the British officer, came to power. He introduced dual government in 1765. In 1765, the dual government was implemented by Robert Clive. What do you mean by dual government? Dual government is nothing but the British had the right to collect land taxes. The British had a right to collect land taxes, and the Nawab had a power over administration, issues like justice and others. Dual means two types of government. Two types of government, nothing but one government was led by British. They had a right to collect the taxes, and another one government was led by the Nawab, imparting justice. Administration was carried out by the Nawab. Thus, the two types of government which was introduced by Robert Clive, this is known as the dual government in 1765. This is what we studied about advent of Europeans to India, all the Carnatic wars, the Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar. Now, this is the second chapter of history part. The extension of British rule. How did the British expanded their empire? How did they extend their rule in India? Already we have studied the first chapter, Advent of Europeans to India. After the end of the Battle of Plassey and Buxar, the Britishers remained as dominant in provinces like Bengal, Bihar, Orissa. After the end of these two wars, the Britishers introduced different kinds of policies in India. Many governor generals administered. They introduced a different type of policies. They implemented many things. In such a way, the Britishers extended their rule in India. How did the British extend their rule in India? That we should learn one by one. The policies like a subsidiary alliance and doctrinal collapse brought many changes in Indian society. Many rulers, kings, lost their existence. They lost their power. All the Indian rulers and Indians became the puppets in the hands of the British. Let us study one by one how the Britishers annexed the places. How did the British suppress the native rulers of India? In this chapter, the most important thing today we are going to discuss about the first Anglo-Maratha war. Between whom this started? And what was the main cause of this? Before going to start this, we have to learn the previous history of this incident. In India, Marathas and Mysore's lost their power, their dominant. There was a restriction to Bengal and Bombay province region. These were completely under the control of British rule. Hyder Ali, Tipu Sultan, Peshwa of Maratha and Ranjit Singh were the opponents to Britishers. The cunning policies like subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse, the Britishers waged 3 Anglo-Maratha wars, 4 Anglo-Mysore wars and 2 Anglo-Sikh wars in India. Among those, first one is First Anglo-Maratha War. What was the main cause of this First Anglo-Maratha War? The Marathas installed Shah Alam II to the throne of Mughal Empire. Shah Alam II became the emperor of Mughals. The emperor gave Konnur and Allahabad to Marathas. This was the main cause of first Anglo-Maratha war. Why? Because when Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II gave Konnur and Allahabad to Marathas, this Konnur and Allahabad were under the control of Britishers. So Britishers got angry over on Shah Alam II. So that is why Britishers decided to war against Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. This was the main cause of first Anglo-Maratha war. The cause was the emperor gave Konnur and Allahabad to Marathas was the main reason for first Anglo-Maratha war. The Maratha rulers started to fight each other because of the position. To get position, these all Maratha rulers, they started to fight each other. This story begins with after death of Madhav Rao Peshwa, the Maratha rule set back. After death of Madhav Rao, his brother Narayan Rao came to power. But this Narayan Rao was murdered by his uncle Raghoba. Raghoba murdered Narayan Rao because Raghoba was his uncle. Raghoba wanted to become the actual ruler of Marathas. So that is why the hungriness of the position made him to murder Narayan Rao. When Narayan Rao was murdered, the Maratha Federation all together, they didn't accept Raghoba as their administrator, as their ruler. So that is why the son of Narayan Rao, Madhav Rao II, declared as Peshwa. Then on, Raghoba joined his hands with the British. Britishers supported Raghoba. Britishers wanted to capture the entire empire of Marathas. So, Britishers Raghoba, all they joined together. The Marathas gained upper hand. Later they had to lose Allahabad to Britishers. This war finally ended with the Treaty of Salbai Agreement. The first Anglo-Maratha war ended with the Treaty of Salbai Agreement. Thus the first Anglo-Maratha war ended. In this, Madhav Rao II named the Peshwa. Madhav Rao II became the Peshwa of Marathas. Thus the war ended. So once again I will repeat, the episode is very easy. After death of Madhav Rao, his son Narayan Rao came to power. Raghunath Rao wanted to become the actual ruler of the Marathas, so he murdered Narayan Rao. After death of Narayan Rao, Raghunath Rao became the ruler of Marathas. But the Federation of Marathas didn't ready to accept Raghoba as their ruler. So the Federation decided to install Madhav Rao II, the son of Narayan Rao, as the ruler of Marathas. At the time, Raghunath Rao joined his hands with the Britishers. Then on, the war began between Marathas and British. In this, the Marathas lost Allahabad. Thus, the Marathas started to lose their power step by step. In this, finally, the first Anglo-Maratha war ended with the Treaty of Salbai. Salbai Agreement was made because of some conditions. The war temporarily was ended. Finally, Madhav Rao II was announced as the Peshwa. This is what we studied about the first Anglo-Maratha war. During this time, Lord Wellesley, the Governor General of the British, he came to power. Lord Wellesley was ambitious. He brought many policies in India. He wanted to implement those policies. Among those, one is the subsidiary alliance. The subsidiary alliance policy, which was implemented by Lord Wellesley. One is Lord Wellesley, when he became Governor General, he wanted to follow three policies to expand the British Empire in India. Among those, first policy is the subsidiary alliance. Second is waging war against new states, administering the states directly. These were the three policies. Which policies were followed by Lord Wellesley. With these three policies, Lord Wellesley wanted to expand his empire in India. Before going to learn this, what do you mean by subsidiary alliance? What were the conditions of this subsidiary alliance? And how did this subsidiary alliance help the Britishers to expand their empire in India? How subsidiary alliance helped the Britishers to remain as dominant in India? That we should learn. So, this subsidiary alliance in 1798 implemented in India in order to bring the Indian states under their control. This subsidiary alliance is nothing but military protection agreement between East India Company and the Indian state. This was an agreement, military protection agreement. This is known as a subsidiary alliance. It is nothing but the agreement between East India Company and the Indian states. This is known as a subsidiary alliance. Now, what are the conditions of this subsidiary alliance? Conditions. Conditions of this subsidiary alliance. The conditions were the Indian ruler has to accept the British army according to the policy of subsidiary alliance. The native ruler has to accept the army of the Britishers. The concerned state had to bear the expenses of the army, the wages of soldiers, and also they had to give certain revenue lands as well. Everything, it is nothing but indirectly the Indian rulers remained as the puppet in the hands of the British. This is second condition. And third condition is the king has to have a British residence in his court. Means the troop or the army of the Britishers or the company, that army will reside in the court of a native ruler. The native ruler has to provide accommodation and draw salary to the soldiers of the Britishers. That's the system. With this system, the Britishers lost, the Indians lost their power to the Britishers. The Britishers remained as powerful day by day. Thus, the Britishers got the power of India. The king, the fourth condition of this subsidiary alliance is the king could not appoint any other European without the permission of British. The native ruler didn't have the power to appoint any European officer in India. Without the permission of the British, the native ruler could not appoint any European. This is the fourth condition. Next, fifth condition is, in order to enter any agreement or pact with any Indian government, the permission of the Governor General was mandatory. If native ruler wants to enter any agreement, he should get the permission of Governor General. This was the fifth condition. Sixth condition is, in return of all these services, the company would offer protection to the state from any internal or external aggression. This is the sixth condition of subsidiary alliance. At this time, the Indian state came under the control of the Britishers. Economic exportation started. Among these all, Hyderabad was the first state to enter this agreement. Hyderabad was the first state to accept the policy of subsidiary alliance. You will get in one mark question, which is the first state to accept a subsidiary alliance. Such type of questions will be there. Which are the noted important highlights of these lessons are there. Those are all important for examination. This is what we studied about how first Anglo-Maratha war helped the Britishers and how the policy of Lord Wellesley subsidiary alliance helped the Britishers to expand their empire to suppress the rule of the native rulers of India. Now, the battle of Second Anglo-Maratha War. What were the causes of this Second Anglo-Maratha War? First cause is enmity broke out between Yashwant Rao, Daulat Rao and Balaji Rao. The family members started to fight each other for the position, to get the position. This is the first cause of Second Anglo-Maratha War. So, the enmity enmity began among the rulers like Yashwantrao, Daulat and Balaji. Second cause is in 1802 the army of Holkar defeated the army of Scindia and Peshwa. This is the second cause. Peshwa appealed for help to British. Peshwa took the help of Britishers. Lord Wellesley got the opportunity to meddle with the affairs of Marathas. Lord Wellesley was waiting for the right opportunity here. Even when the Maratha rulers started to fight each other, Lord Wellesley thought that this is the right time to enter into the political condition of native rulers. So that is why Lord Wellesley got the opportunity. The Peshwa then entered into the Treaty of Basin. With the help of Lord Wellesley, Peshwa finally entered into the Treaty of Basin. Thus, the Second Anglo-Maratha War ended. Lord Wellesley defeated all the Maratha family members. The battle thirstiness increased because of this reason. There was financial burden to the company. So that is why Lord Wellesley was resigned to his post. In the exam, the questions will be, why did Lord Wellesley resign to his post? Why Lord Wellesley resigned to his post? Because the thirstiness of war increased, so that thirstiness resulted in the financial burden to the company or to the Britishers. This was the main reason to resign to his post. Thus, Lord Wellesley resigned to his post. Then on, some of the native rulers, they have lost their power. Because of some reasons, the war once again began between Britishers and Marathas. That is known as Third Anglo-Maratha War. In this, the Marathas tried their best to protect their independence. Peshwa wanted to remain free. Peshwa didn't want to remain as a puppet in the hands of the Britishers. So that is why he started to consolidate his position. Then on, he attacked the British residency in Pune and burnt it completely. Then on, Appa Sahib of Nagpur and Madhav Rao of Holkar against the British, they started to fight, but in this, Appa Sahib and Madhav Rao were suppressed by the British army. In this, in Third Anglo-Maratha War, thus the Maratha rulers once again, they lost their existence and their power. Peshwa Bajirao II fought at Goregaon and Asti and surrendered to Britishers. Thus, Bajirao II was also surrendered to British. The British abolished the Peshwa and pensioned him. That post was abolished by Britishers. The power of the Peshwa came into the hands of Britishers. In place of a Peshwa, the Britishers installed Pratapa Singha, the descendant of Shivaji, as the ruler of Satara. Thus the Britishers, one after another, these wars brought power to the Britishers. In First Anglo-Maratha War, they defeated Yashwantrao, Daulat-Rao, Balaji-Rao. In Third Anglo-Maratha War, they defeated Appasaheb, Madhav-Rao, Bazirao II. They abolished the post of Peshwa. In place of Peshwa, the Britishers installed Pratapasinghe. Pratapasinghe was the descendant of Shivaji in place of Satara. Thus, the Britishers remained as dominant even after each war in India. Now, the consolidation of the British power in India. Consolidation. How the Britishers consolidated their power even after defeating the Maratha rulers in Anglo-Maratha wars. The Britishers wanted to expand their empire. The Britishers wanted to establish their control on entire part of India. They occupied major states like Sindh, Oudh, and the Britishers even they warred with Sikh rulers also. Britishers, there was political anarchy broke out in Punjab after death of Ranjit Singh. Ranjit Singh was the powerful ruler of Sikhs. During the rule of Ranjit Singh, the administration of the Sikh was under the control of Ranjit Singh, because Ranjit Singh was an efficient administrator. He was a brave ruler. During the rule of Ranjit Singh, the Sikh empire was in such a way the Britishers were unable to capture those places during the rule of Ranjit Singh. But even after death of Ranjit Singh, the Britishers attempted to invade Punjab. In December in 1845, the war broke out between British and Punjab. Hindus, Sikhs and Muslims, they got together. Due to few traitor leaders, they had to accept defeat during this time. There were some traitors. Some of the native rulers, they joined their hands with Britishers. So that is why the Sikh people lost some of the places to the Britishers. It was a kind of humiliation. Why? Because when the Lahore Agreement was made between Sikh and Britishers, it was a kind of humiliation to Sikh rulers. The British president became the de facto ruler of Punjab. Punjab became the dependent state of Britishers. The Sikh opposed by the British. The opposition were led by Chattar Singh of Atarimala in Lahore and Mulraj in Multan. These two rulers opposed to the Britishers, but finally the rule of Chattar Singh and Mulraj came under the control of Britishers. Thus the Britishers captured the places of Sikh and defeated the native rulers of the main rulers of the Sikh family with the help of native rulers. Thus the Britishers expanded their empire up to Punjab. So these wars brought laurels to the Britishers. One after another war, the Britishers remained as a dominant in India. The Britishers expanded their empire in India. The British officer, Lord Dalhousie, came to India as a Governor General. As a Governor General, Lord Dalhousie implemented the policy like the doctrine of lapse. how Lord Wellesley implemented the policy of subsidiary alliance. Lord Wellesley implemented the policy of subsidiary alliance. Lord Dalhousie implemented the policy of the doctrine of lapse. Then what do you mean by this doctrine of lapse? If any Indian ruler dies without children, their adopted children had no legal rights over the throne. That policy is known as the doctrine of lapse. It means if the native ruler doesn't have his natural heir, after death of that native ruler, the adopted son will not get any legal rights, and after death of that ruler, that empire or that place should be annexed to the British Empire. This system is known as the doctrine of lapse. Means the native ruler has to surrender all his places. The native ruler has to remain only as the servant in the hands of the British. So thus how the subsidiary alliance policy helped the Britishers to remain as a powerful in India. In the same manner, after Lord Wellesley, the Governor General Lord Dalhousie implemented the doctrine of lapse policy. With these two cunning policies, the Britishers remained as a dominant in India. Thus, the doctrine of lapse helped the Britishers to annex the places like Satara, Nagpur, Sambalpur, Udaipur, Jhansi, Jaipur. These all places came under the control of the policy of the doctrine of lapse. The sympathetic people on those days, they rebelled against the policy of Britishers. So this resulted in the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857. The first war of Indian independence began because of these policies. Thus, the policies like subsidiary alliance and the doctrine of lapse, how these policies helped the Britishers to expand their empire and to remain as the dominant in Indian society and to suppress the native rulers, such cunning policies. So those policies are called cunning policies. Cunning policies, two cunning policies of the Britishers. One is subsidiary alliance, which was introduced by Lord Wellesley, and the second cunning policy is the doctrine of lapse, which was introduced by Lord Dalhousie. With these policies, this lesson will be ended. So this is what we speak about the extension of British rule in India.